I'm Yuri.
And we're going for a drive.
'23 Chevy Corvette
Z06 with launch control.
Horsepower and torque!
670 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque from a hand-built flat plane crank 5.5 liter V8.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does. Downshift, 8,600 RPM redline. This sounds amazing.
And we did end up kind of breaking our camera by getting some water in and filming today, so if you see some stock footage, that's the reason why.
Sorry guys, RIP camera, title of this video.
And we are in Pittsburgh for the launch, so we got to drive it on track when it was perfectly dry, which was super amazing.
Yeah, the car handled incredibly well. We were able to drive the Z06 and the Z06 with the Z07 package back to back, and my goodness, what a difference between the two cars.
So let's talk about the packages, because it really is the ones with the wing is the Z07, and that has a lot to make it faster on track.
Yeah, so you get the front canards, you get underbody stuff, you get a ton of actual real aerodynamic stuff, like the wing that actually adds like double the downforce of this one.
Yeah, so it's like 700...
Sorry, not this one, because we're actually driving the Z07 right now.
It's like 780 pounds of downforce at 300 kilometers an hour, where the non-Z07 package will be like 350 pounds of downforce at 300 kilometers an hour-ish.
Yeah, and then you also get the option to then spec carbon fiber wheels if you get the Z07 package.
And then they can come with carbon ceramic brakes as well.
And I believe they have just changed the fact that you can also option the carbon fiber wheels on the regular Z06.
And the wheels are so wide.
Oh my goodness.
They're 13 inches wide or something?
They're huge. The tires are massive. If you get the Z07 package, you get even crazier tires, super sticky ones. And with the Z07 package, you also get Brembo carbon ceramic brakes, and we did drive those on the track, and they stopped. Basically, we could just keep going, and the brakes were not fading. There was nothing.
I couldn't push myself to the limit of this car at all. I couldn't even get close. So like, this car is way more, like if you buy this, you have a lot of like learning to do with it. You're not gonna run out of car.
No.
And then you also get adjusted steering feel.
Yeah, so if you option the carbon fiber wheels from the factory, they changed the steering ratio slightly because the turn-in is instant because you lose like 40 pounds of unsprung weight, and the difference on track is 1,000% noticeable.
So make sure if you're getting carbon fiber wheels, you spec them out from the factory.
Yeah, and we don't know the pricing of the carbon fiber wheels if you just walked into a GM dealership and asked for them, but you wouldn't get the steering calibration correct. So just get them
from the factory.
And it'll be cheaper from the factory as well.
Okay, what else are you talking about with this?
Dude, there's so much. Rear-wheel drive, we got an electronic limited slip differential. The chassis on the Z07 is tuned totally different. The Magna Ride is tuned totally different than the Z06. There's so much. Amongst the many other changes, they also changed the transmission. It's still the same 8-speed, it's still dual clutch, it shifts really, really quickly, but they had to beef it up.
Yeah, so it didn't vibrate itself apart because of the flat plane crank engine.
Yeah, so the flat plane crank engine inherently kind of vibrates the actual engine, so they couldn't put an oil filter on the outside. Everything had to be kind of as internal as possible to minimize as much vibrations as possible. And the flat plane crank is what gives it that very unique sound, that 8,600 RPM redline, and the only other American car in recent history that had that with a V8 was the Mustang GT350.
Yeah.
And we loved how that sounded.
That was like my favorite sounding car, which I'm gonna say definitely sounds better than this one. So let's listen to this from the outside.
Take a listen. And from the inside, downshift, downshift. It sounds quite exotic. I think even more exotic than that GT350 engine.
But like on the track, man, it was like buzzy, loud. That's like my main criticism was like, it was when you were like going fast, but it did help to make it go faster.
Yeah, so I had the same problem as well. It's got this this buzziness to it at a high RPM, and apparently they have tuned the engine as best as they could. The engine is so crazily done that the intake manifold can actually kind of change its own tuning with intake valves on the inside that change. And then the exhaust valves also vary. They're not just open and close. They change depending on the drive modes, and they can kind of vary like any amount of degrees that they want. And when you're in track mode, the exhaust is essentially straight piped is what they told us.
Yeah, and they show us all the diagrams, and unless you're in Europe, which case it's going to be quieter and you get the particulate filter.
And in Europe, you also get outboard exhaust on the outside. We have quad pipes on the inside, and then even that, they were so specific with the tuning of them. They are fake exhaust. They're disconnected from the actual pipes, but they did that for a reason because they actually checked how it sounded with the exhaust pipes inside, outside, in the middle, and they found the perfect one that made it the loudest.
But before we get too deep into all the other important stuff, looks-wise, this is different than a regular C8. So it is wider. It is as wide as the C8R race car.
Yeah, so this is exactly 3.6 inches wider than the regular Stingray. And apparently the Stingray is as wide as our C6 Z06, which, by the way, is a complete animal. You guys need to watch that series because we made 721 horsepower from a cross-plane crank LS7 V8.
And then it's this yellow one right here. That's
Yes.
why I got the Z06 hat.
And I do need to say that the power to weight ratio of ours and the actual driving characteristics of ours versus this one, ours feels way crazier. But this is the highest horsepower naturally aspirated V8 in production ever, according to GM.
Okay, then back to the looks because we
Sorry,
kind of got
man,
sidetracked.
I keep getting sidetracked.
This has a different front end and rear end than the normal Corvette, but every other Z06 in the past has either only had the front or the back change, but I love the front end. Like, that bumper looks so amazing.
It does. Everything's just wider, bigger, more openings for more radiators.
Those little spikes that come out, looks like fangs, and then there's a little thing at the front where the license plate is, or you can remove to let more airflow when you're on the track, or to have a license plate attached to it.
Yep, and then around back, it is significantly wider. That's where you really notice it, I think. And then the taillights apparently were moved outboard even more, just to make that even more apparent.
You like the look of the exhaust?
I do. I mean, it's quad in the middle.
You can't hate it.
No, it's just like our C6 Z06.
And then I love this wing, and they designed it perfectly for the most amount of downforce and all that stuff. On the non-Z07 package, you get the like other side wings, which I think still looks all right, but this is, I think, is like the way to go.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I think the regular Z06 kind of looks better than this, but I totally appreciate all of the function of this. If you're gonna track this car ever in your life, 100% just go for the Z07 package.
Yeah,
you
because
have to.
if you're buying one of these, you have the money and just spend more. We'll get to the price later. And then speaking about wings, the C8R has a big wing, and it has a SiriusXM logo on there.
Yes, it does.
So if you're looking to get 3 free months of SiriusXM, hit up SiriusXM.sayer.com/TheStraightPipes. And then some more stuff. There's more carbon packages that you can get to get like, different things in carbon and everything.
Yeah, so we're currently in the 2LZ. There's also the 3LZ, and you can get individual packages for a bunch of stuff.
I did kind of like that white one with the stripes where like it didn't have carbon fiber at the front. Like, I thought that was a pretty cool look.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the look of the Z06.
And then,
they look great.
And then there's the other wheels, the non-carbon fiber wheels are like spider wheels. Those look totally amazing.
Yes, and then you can also get black wheels that aren't carbon, but then the carbon wheels look pretty sick because they're simple 5-spoke, but they are carbon.
And then the Z06 badge. It's different than every previous Z06 badge. I think they did a good job of not ruining it, but now it is on the back, not on the fender.
Ah, that's where the engine is, Yuri.
That's my theory. You got to put it near the engine, but then you can get like a 70th anniversary badge for some of them too this year, I guess.
Yeah, which adds the badge up front where the regular Z06 badge may have been.
Yeah.
And they kind of told us that they had mock-ups of where they were putting the badges, and they did have it there at one point, but they didn't go with that.
And there's a bunch of cool colors you can get. There's a pretty cool configurator where you can only get certain colors of stripes and stuff. Like, I tried to build like an acid yellow one with yellow stripes, and it's like, no, you can only put yellow stripes on the blue, which kind of makes sense.
And it's nice that we have this orange with orange seatbelts. Like, the way that this one is currently spec'd is really good. I would have liked a little bit of extra carbon on this inside with the carbon fiber steering wheel with the orange stitching in the middle would have been really nice.
Okay, so there was a silver one we drove on track with a red interior. All red. I absolutely love all of that. But on some of the YouTube videos of the Corvette Academy, they showed a full red steering wheel, but they later changed that to not be an option.
Yeah, And they asked like what we
sucks,
thought about that. We're like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, if you own it, it's gonna get a little grimy probably.
But it's such a cool looking steering wheel.
It really is.
I love all the colors that you can have for the interiors too.
And it's interesting that they didn't change the squircle for the Z06. They kept this. So
well, because it was like for the screen, right?
It is, and it's functional. I get it. And we have really nice paddles on this one, but you can get carbon fiber paddles. And in case you guys have noticed, it is pouring rain right now, so it's a little sketchy to drive.
So with these less than ideal conditions, I guess it's my time to drive on the road in the rain and not launch it until maybe later in the video.
I'm sorry, Yuri. It's not my fault.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's see if we get launch control and performance traction wet. Oh!
Holy crap!
Ah! Hot dog!
I did not expect that. That hooked up.
Pleasantly surprised. So one of the things I loved about this car on track was once you go into track mode, you double click the traction button to get into your different performance traction modes. And from there you use this dial and you can switch it up on track very easily. And what I was able to do was start off in dry and then, you know, it was bogging me down a bit, so then I moved over to sport and then still bogging me down. And then I went to race 1 where I felt like I could like push the car a little harder.
Yeah, so once you get in the car and you get yourself dialed into track mode, I do like that, but out on the street where you're kind of changing between drive modes and then you're also changing traction modes, it gets confusing because you have to do the double tap of the traction. Not my favorite.
Yeah, but you got Z mode, you got my mode. Once you own this car, there's a lot you can customize to make it like a very ideal daily. And I'm gonna say like, this is very nice for just like normal road daily driving.
It really is. This has MagneRide 4.0, which you can find also on the CT5V Blackwing. Obviously, it's tuned differently in here. And driving on these crappier Pittsburgh roads out on the outskirts of the racetrack, it's actually quite good.
I'm more than satisfied with the stiffest version of the C8 Z06.
Yeah.
I like with my bad back, my sciatica, like it started getting a little sore after like a couple laps on track, but like this was nothing nearly as bad as like a proper race car, and this was like a million times faster than a lot of the cars I've ever driven.
Yeah, I think they nailed the damping. I think they nailed the suspension. One of the biggest differences from this to the regular Stingray is the turn-in response, where the Stingray kind of had like quite a bit of understeer. This basically virtually has no understeer. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, like felt like, I know totally on rails is like cliche, but like totally on rails. This is just like a perfect sports car.
Yuri, is it a supercar?
Supercar checklist. Is it fast? Is it loud?
Yes and yes.
Does it have a gimmicky steering wheel?
Squircle? Yes, it does.
Do the doors go up?
No, they don't.
But I photoshopped that in the past, so let's change that car to orange and close enough.
Is there a lot of carbon fiber? Yes, depending on the package especially.
You can option so much. And will it fit a box? We don't have the
No.
boxes with us. We don't do the boxes anymore, but we know it does not fit one, so that is a pass as well.
Yeah, it will fit our carry-ons in the front, but it'll also fit 2 sets of golf clubs in the trunk.
And then, do you look cool getting in or out of it?
I mean, I think so.
You don't look like you're ever struggling to get it in or out. It's
No.
very easy.
Yeah, which is almost a fail, but it's really good.
No, you do look cool. You look cool.
And what about the cup holders? Super Pass.
Super Pass.
So
yes,
that's a supercar fail.
And then the visors. 3, 2, 1. Supercar fail. But they do make a red visor, which the interior designer was able to extend for us. So shout out.
And when we asked the interior designer if they extended, he's like, "Of course they extend." We're like, "That's not actually, of course, depending on our experience in other cars."
So next, does this get a lot of attention?
Yeah, I think it will on the road, especially if you get it in orange. Don't get this in black.
Yeah, and even like if it isn't a dark color, you can kind of tell.
Especially with the Z07 package with the wing.
When I was behind the driving instructor on the track, this thing had like the presence, the white one, at least to me, I was thinking like, it looks like a white Countach almost. If that wing was white.
Dude, the red one, I was like, oh, that's a really good looking Ferrari 458. No.
I think it gets a lot of attention for anyone who knows anything about cars, for sure. Like, people are gonna think this is something super special, even more special than a regular C8.
So we called the Stingray not a supercar, but very close. This is a supercar. Congratulations, GM. This is a supercar.
You built your first supercar according to our test.
Supercar killer as well because of the price point, what you get, mid-engine, flat plane crank, high revving. This is a supercar.
RIP supercars.
RIP Ferrari 458 from several years ago. Jeez, that engine.
It revs out so high.
I gotta talk about that engine. It's very special.
Go for it.
It's got forged aluminum pistons, forged titanium connecting rods, twin throttle bodies, a dry sump oil system just like our LS7. This is basically a race car. It revs all the way to 86. Like, I mean, 9,000 would have been nice, but I'll take it for a V8.
Yeah, round numbers are cool. But
This
like,
is a V8, man.
And
Like, this is sick.
And then this comes in the convertible version and the coupe version. So the coupe version, you can pull this off. The convertible version is a cool convertible, but you don't see the engine in the convertible version. And like, this thing's kind of all about that, so you should probably just get the hardtop.
I think so too, because you get the nice glass, and then you can see it from inside here as well, and then you can see the actual plaque from the engine builder.
Yes, and there's an option where you can go build your own engine and then you get your name on the plaque, then you get to keep a second plaque.
Yeah, if you have the option of buying this car, maybe check out tsp.truecar.com if you haven't already ordered yours from a dealer. It'll be tough to find. You'll have to get it in stock pricing.
Yeah. This is the only way to buy one now because they stopped, I'm pretty sure, taking allocations for it.
Yeah.
Go to tsp.truecar.com.
Definitely try and build your own engine if you can.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that would be the coolest thing, and then it would be more rare.
Yeah.
It's the one of one built by yourself.
Yes.
On a Friday.
Yeah.
More stuff inside. So this gauge cluster, it's the same one as the last one, but I love having all of the data there. Like, the left to right tack is good. We have the head-up display, which is good for on track as well. And I loved seeing when my tires were warm, because at one point my tires weren't warm and I gave a little bit too much gas and I had to correct. And then when it said temperature was good, warm, then I could get on it.
And then when you start the car, it's got a really cool startup animation, totally different than the Stingray. So in ideal circumstances, not that we have those today, 0 to 60 in about 2.6 seconds, which is lightning fast for something like this.
And fun fact, I asked if this can do burnouts, because Corvette should be able to do burnouts. I'm like, can you program a line lock in here or something? And they're like, we tried, and it just like couldn't hold it back, so we got rid of it.
The front brakes could not physically hold the car no matter how hard they clamped.
But I'm like, couldn't you just include that there anyways and just say for uphill use only?
Would have been fun. Oh, and what you can do, Yuri, pull both paddles. And fun fact, that is the only way to get this to rev out in neutral when you're parked.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff with this car. And then the last thing that I can, guess that's different is we have Z06 on the steering wheel in a little plaque.
And these seats are also very comfortable, very well bolstered, no issues on the track.
I love these matching seat belts to the exterior color.
Yeah, so basically to sum this car up, I think this is probably one of the most important American cars maybe ever.
Okay, is there anything we don't like? Like
Other than the buzziness in the high RPM kind of sound?
Like,
not really.
It sounds amazing doing drive-bys and stuff on the track at high speed. When you're just chilling around town, it's good, but it was just like that high speed being on it at track. There was just something that wasn't my favorite sound-wise.
Yeah, so maybe they will change that in the future, but they kind of told us that any changes that they could make would decrease the power, so they probably won't be doing that.
Yeah. Maybe it's just something in our heads that day.
Maybe. And not that they built this car for drag racing, but they did take it to the drag strip for testing, and this is a 10-second car, which is pretty damn quick.
And this motor was actually pretty much the exact same one that was in the C8R race car, except they had to change stuff for their regulations in their racing league.
Yeah, well, it actually makes almost 150 horsepower less in the race car because they have to put the restrictor plate and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, they told us how stoked they were when they hit like the horsepower numbers that they did, but they actually hit those numbers before we did the Stingray video originally.
Yes.
Because it's the same motor that was in the race car the whole time.
Yeah.
They pulled a sneak move on all of us.
Of course, and we keep asking the engineers about the supposed ZR1. They're like, never even heard of it.
The responses they give us show that it's coming. So
yeah.
Are they gonna supercharge this or what?
I don't know, man. I think twin turbo something, but
and I think they said they were gonna sell this as a crate motor.
They said probably later, maybe. They could not confirm or deny.
So one more little rip before we get to the price.
Oh my god.
This thing is so fast.
I can't believe we're going as quick as we are in the wet.
This is
beyond wet.
This is like perfect race car / street car mix, I think. Like,
yeah.
And with that, we should probably get to the price and see if the price is perfect as well.
So since we're in America, US dollar pricing, this one starts at $105,300.
American.
And this one is currently spec'd out, the one that we're driving, to $147,140.
And we were told that the highest you could spec this out in Canadian is around $200,000.
That's a lot of money.
So now, did you already order yours? And is there a markup?
Yes, let us know. Or go to tsp.truecar.com because you'll actually see the dealer in stock pricing.
Yeah, with the markups included.
Exactly.
Because everyone's going to mark these up where they can.
Yep.
Because they're just so desirable. But you're not allowed to sell them for 6 months now.
Yeah,
or
because you
your
lose the warranty transfer.
And it switched from 1 year to 6 months when everyone kind of got like, what the heck is this? But like, I kind of get it. They want people to drive their Z06s instead of just flipping them, which is like, I would like to see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think they knocked it out of the park with this. Not that I didn't expect them not to. And like I said, I think this is one of the most important cars that GM or any North American manufacturers made, because I think it's more significant than a Ford GT because this is still more accessible than a Ford GT. They're going to build as many as they can.
Yeah.
And it's a way cheaper price point. It's an exotic car. It just is.
And you don't have to write an essay to get one.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to buddy with a Chevy dealership.
Just pay the markup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think of the Z06, and we love it. Let's hope you guys do too, and let us know what your spec is if you bought one.
And if you bought it, congratulations, you'll love it. And if you still have a chance to buy one, go for the Z07 package, I think.
I think so too.
If you're ever going to track it at least once, do that.
Yes, and since we're at the end of the video, watch our last Corvette video, which is coming out in 2 days from now.
We are Corvette owners.
Yes, we are, as you can tell from Yuri's outfit. Thanks, guys.